Well, good morning, everyone. It is so good to be with everyone here today. I'm Congresswoman Terry Sewell. I proudly represent Alabama's 7th Congressional District, which includes the historic cities of Birmingham, a steel town, Montgomery, Selma, and my hometown of Selma, as well as Tuscaloosa. I am proud to be joined by my colleagues, Congresswoman Beth Van Dyne and Congressman Frank Mervane. And later, hopefully, we will be joined by Senator Sherrod Brown as we work in a bipartisan manner in bringing forward common sense solutions that protect American workers and consumers. Now, as you know, Birmingham has always proudly been called a steel town. Some even refer to us as the Pittsburghs of the South. We'd like to just say the Magic City. We have invested in our country's infrastructure, and we are proud of the steel manufacturing jobs that are in Alabama. As we reinvest in the passage of the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, I know that American steel industry is ready to build America's 21st century infrastructure. However, we continue to face several challenges, including anti-market dumping from China. In 2000, China produced about 18% of the world's supply of steel. Today, it is roughly 50%. By modernizing our trade laws, we can finally combat China's Belt and Road Initiative and their subsidization of factories that are designed to dodge our current U.S. trade laws. It is for this reason that I introduced the Leveling the Playing Field 2.0 legislation. This legislation will modernize our trade remedy laws and combat China's cross-border circumvention efforts. At the end of the day, this bill is about standing up to China and protecting good-paying American jobs. We have a responsibility to hold bad actors accountable, and this accountability needs to be in the form of an increase in civil penalties for fraudulent and negligent violations of our U.S. trade laws. This bipartisan, bicameral solution is the first of many steps that Congress must take in order to combat the People's Republic of China's illegal trade practices. We have the full support of the Department of Commerce, USTR, and a strong coalition of Republicans and Democrats in the Steel Caucus and the Ways and Means Committee. I want to thank everyone here for their tireless efforts and the grassroots efforts that we have to bring awareness to this legislation. Let's get this bill passed and signed into law. And with that, I'll turn it over to my colleague on the Ways and Means Committee, none other than Beth Van Dyne.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Good morning. As was mentioned, I'm Beth Van Dyne. I represent the 24th District of Texas. Love being on the Ways and Means Committee and love being able to pass bipartisan bills that actually make a difference to Americans. It's great to be here with all of you, and I appreciate the members of the steel industry who have taken the time out of their busy work days to join us in Washington today to highlight the fight for the future of America's manufacturing sector. And as we know, China is blatantly violating trade agreements and finding loopholes to avoid being held accountable. I represent North Texas, home of one of the nation's top 2 suppliers of steel, Commercial Metals Company. And as I've heard from Commercial Metals, as well as leaders from the industry, American manufacturers are at a disadvantage because competitors like China are engaging in anti-free market practices. We've seen American steel producers get hurt by China's unfair practices. And after the U.S. government wins anti-dumping cases against these bad actors, they don't face real consequences. They become repeat offenders, country hopping, to be able to dodge trade remedies. So we've introduced legislation that will empower American workers and manufacturers by countering China's exploitative trade practices. The Level the Playing Field Act 2.0 pushes back on China's unfair trade. And our bill updates the U.S. trade remedy law and creating new laws to be able to combat repeat offenders, to expedite investigations, and apply meaningful consequences, including going after Chinese subsidized production under their Belt and Road Initiative. I'm grateful to serve on the Ways and Means Committee, where I have gotten to raise these issues to the U.S. Trade Representative, and we've been able to pass legislation to counter Communist China's influence and stand up for American producers. We've advanced solutions to remove China from our supply chains, end their abuse of the de minimis privilege, and close loopholes that allow Chinese companies to benefit from American tax dollars through their so-called Inflation Reduction Act. As we work to return manufacturing to the United States and out of China, I'm also working to ensure that our workforce is ready. We need to make sure that it's easier for people to join the workforce and to receive relevant education and training. We look at trade and vocational schools as critical components, offering a common sense alternative to four-year college degrees. And I'll be damned if these future graduates are going to enter the workforce at an automatic disadvantage to countries like China, which are notorious for using child and slave labor to produce inferior products that they then dump into American markets. I want to thank everyone for joining us here today in this critical fight for the future of expanding our middle class and our skilled trades, and we will continue to work to build a stronger, more resistant, and self-sufficient America. Thank you.
Thank you. Please give her a round of applause. I want to thank Representative Sewell and Representative Van Dyne for working in a bipartisan effort. I am Congressman Frank Mervan. I am the 1st District member that represents Northwest Indiana. I stand before you to address the critical issue that affects not only our economy, but also our national security and the livelihood of countless American workers. The protection of the U.S. steel industry from unfair trade practices, particularly those emanating from bad actors such as China. For decades, the American steel industry has been the backbone of our nation's infrastructure, from skyscrapers that define the cities and to bridges that connect our communities to our national security. However, in recent years, the steel industry has faced unprecedented challenges due to the flood of unfairly traded steel imports. Predatory pricing, state subsidies, and other unfair trade practices have distorted global markets, allowing countries such as China to dump cheap steel in the U.S. markets, undercutting the domestic procedures threatening our very existence in steel industry. In Northwest Indiana, my grandfather came over from Czechoslovakia into the steel industry. He worked there for 53 years. Thousands upon thousands of steel workers are dependent upon the steel industry. My job as a U.S. member of Congress is to leverage my office to make sure that we protect those jobs and industries. What's on the other end of these trade policies are people's livelihoods, their pensions, their health cares. And so we have to be focused in a bipartisan way to be able to protect the steel industry and to understand that there are real life jobs at the other end. When China subsidizes steel and circumvents our steel policies and comes through another foreign country through the Belt and Road policy, when we go to the International Trade Commission and we testify, it's too late. My neighbors, my friends have lost their jobs. We have to be able to work in a bipartisan effort to be able to protect that industry and the workers on the other end of those policies. And Level the Playing Field 2.0 does that. So we will continue in an advocacy way to be able to move heaven and earth, to be able to protect our steel industry when it comes to our national security and the tens of thousands of jobs that are on the other end of these policies. I'm Frank Mervan, and I'm proud to join Representative Sewell and Van Dyne in this bipartisan effort to protect our workers and the steel industry, and I thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Frank. I want to thank all the lawmakers that are here today. I want to thank you not only for our friendship, but our advocacy on this very important issue. We know that by leveling the playing field, by actually having fair trade practices as well as remedies, that we American workers and American consumers can truly compete. And that's what this is all about. Now I'll bring forth Frank Dempsey, who is from AISI, and he'll introduce the other steel manufacturers and steel workers. Yeah.
I'm Kevin Dempsey, the president and CEO of the American Iron and Steel Institute. We're joined here today by Phil Bell, the president of the Steel Manufacturers Association, Tamara Brown of the Committee on Pipe and Tube Imports, and Roy Hausman of the United Steelworkers. All of our groups are here today to call on Congress to pass the Leveling the Playing Field 2.0 Act, because we desperately need to update our trade laws to address the latest forms of unfair trade facing our industry from around the world. You've heard several of the congressmen talk about China's Belt and Road Initiative. This is this new effort by China to expand its influence and expand its steel industry outside of China into other parts of the world, especially into Southeast Asia. China, through its investments in the Belt and Road Initiative, is adding as much new steel capacity over the next couple of years in Southeast Asia as as equal to the entire size of the U.S. steel industry in the U.S. If we don't update our trade laws by addressing the Belt and Road Initiative, we will not have effective remedies to address dumping from these new mills being built in Southeast Asia. And we know Congress is considering a number of different bills to address the challenge from China. And there are many different aspects of that challenge that need to be addressed. But the only bill currently being considered in the Congress that takes on the Belt and Road Initiative is the Leveling the Playing Field 2.0 bill. So we urge that any effort by the Congress to address China's challenges must include Leveling the Playing Field 2.0, or otherwise it's not addressing one of the core issues we face. So we appreciate the leadership of Congressman Sewell, Congresswoman Van Dyne, Congressman Frank Mervan, and many others. And you notice we have a strong bipartisan group of congressmen and congresswomen, and they represent different parts of the United States, from the Great Lakes region, Alabama, Texas. So it represents the great diversity and strength of the steel industry in the United States. But all of that is at risk if we do not pass this bill. So at this point, I'll turn to Phil Bell from the Steel Manufacturers Association.
Thank you very much, Kevin. I can't underscore the importance of Leveling the Playing Field Act 2.0. As Kevin alluded to, this is the only bill that is going to fight China's Belt and Road Initiative, but it also serves a broader purpose. It also helps fight circumvention and evasion of Chinese steel through other countries. This morning, the Office of the United States Trade Representatives announced an agreement that they have made with Mexico to require a melt and poured standard for all steel traded within the USMCA region. In order to have the tools and the resources necessary to enforce that agreement and to make sure that Mexico lives up to the terms of that agreement, leveling the playing field is extremely important. It's important for American workers, it's important for our economy, and it's important for our communities. And to help elaborate on that, I would like to invite to the podium Roy Hausman of the United Steelworkers.
All right, Roy Hausman, I'm the Legislative Director for United Steelworkers, and we are strong supporters of the Leveling Playing Field Act 2.0, and it's a pretty straightforward issue for our workers. We know, just the same as you get a software update for security on your iPhone, that you have the potential, that we need to update our software and our security for our own domestic industries like steel, rubber, plastic, all of these industries that our membership works at. But for the leadership here with the Steel Caucus and in the leadership here with the steel industry and labor working together, working with our allies here, we look forward to pushing forward a bill that stops the circumvention issue related to China, makes our cases rapid, because at the end of the day, our workers, when they get that pink slip, the first thing they want is that rehire slip. And that's the first thing that we got to make sure we do when we push forward and talk about these bills with our legislators here in DC. And we have great allies to start, and we're only looking forward to build more momentum, because I know our membership, at the end of the day, they just want a fair contract, a fair playing field, and an ability to know that their products, which are some of the most sustainable, cleanest steels in the world, are made and used here domestically, and we aren't competing against dirty steel, foreign steel, dumped into the U.S. market at below market rates just to capture market share and put U.S. workers out on the unemployment line. It's unfair, it's un-American, and it's the reason why we support Leveling the Playing Field Act 2.0. And we'll pass it over to Tamara Brown from the Committee of Pipe and Tube Industry.
Last but not least, yeah. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I would ditto what our members of Congress have said, as well as my industry colleagues. The Committee on Pipe and Tube Imports has over 45,000 workers across 35 states in this country. We make a variety of steel pipe and tube products, and we're an incredibly important customer of the domestic steel sector making steel. We have been working on this bill for now going into the third Congress, and we believe that the time is now to move this forward. If we did not have these laws in place today, we would not have an industry we have today in terms of a robust competitor, creating thousands of jobs across the country, and in recent years making millions of dollars in new investments to improve and also modernize facilities and move into the next generation of technology. So we are compelling and asking our members of Congress today, we will be meeting with a variety of members in the House and Senate and in leadership, to urge them to find a path ahead and a way to address and include this bill, where you heard the sponsors earlier today talk about where we can enhance the trade laws and get fairness for the American worker and American companies today. Thank you, and if you have any questions, we'd be able to respond to those. Thank you.